Welcome, I'm the Deadwood Jedi. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video, and today we are going to talk about the fusion coming up here, which I think is really interesting, mostly because it's, how do I say this? Pretty bad. It's just not a great fusion. The epics aren't good. The legendary is not good. None of these are champions that we really want to go out of our way to get, but I thought I would take a different tack than everybody else and give you 3 reasons why you should do this fusion. Maybe they're obvious. Maybe they're not even that great, but we're going to talk about those here today. So I thought that'd be pretty exciting. If this appeals to you at all, hit that subscription, notification bell, and like button, and let's get into the 3 reasons why you want to do the Mother Cybele fusion. The first reason why you want to do this fusion, she's not a trash champion. She can be solid for you. She's not going to be great anywhere, but she's definitely solid. She's got that A1 skill with that AoE hitting. It's a decreased speed debuff chance to place on that. That's always really useful. She's got that A2 skill, which isn't bad either. The Soul Shepherd, because you revive on death and increase defense. That A3, which is not the best, but does give you that weird health swap and the buffs that come with it. That can be really nice and useful, and also gives you 2 continuous heal buffs when placed on her situationally. And then that passive ability that gives you all this turn meter boosting and this healing when she's killed or revived. There is a lot to like about it, not to mention that aura with his all-speed battle aura. Definitely a useful champion, I think. Not endgame crazy, but definitely useful. Now, she takes a fair amount of books, 12 books in total, but really the only ones you need are on that A3 ability, right? The A2 and the A3 ability, if those are the ones you want to use to reduce those cooldowns. The A1, obviously, we got those buffs coming right at the end there, and it definitely makes a difference of having a 25 versus a 50% chance of landing that decreased speed, but regardless, it's still an A1 skill. She's not great, don't get me wrong, but she's not terrible. You can definitely use her. In fact, I think you can use her in your faction war team. She's not like a perfect affinity for it, but she will help keep your team alive and get you through the boss. In fact, I was able to do my fastest Night Revenant run with her on level stage 21 using her instead of a Rector Drath, for example. So she's not horrible by any means. She's not great either, but she does provide some benefits to your team. She's not great unbooked. So, I'll give you that, but she's not a terrible, terrible champion. So in that sense, that's the first reason. The second reason why she is worth fusing right now, she's probably going to get buffed, guys. Now, this is probably the biggest reason why you want to do these fusions. It's so hard to get legendary champions. This is a way to get a legendary champion guaranteed. And if we know anything about Plarium, they will eventually get to buffing their champions. We remember Pixneal was our December fusion from a while ago. Well, apparently this fall, nearly a year later, she's going to be part of the champion balance update that we're going to be having. She is a notoriously bad fusion champion, and she is getting updated. If you think back, Draco was trash before he got updated, and now he's a top 5 champion. Mashald was trash, and then he got updated and was a top 5 champion. When they do rebalance these champions, they tend to go from the bottom of the barrel to the top. Certainly that possibility exists, and a champion like Mother Cybele, I think, will be one that is going to be in that running for those kinds of that kind of an upgrade. So maybe not great right now, but if you're planning ahead, she might end up being a great champion to have eventually, which I think fills into number 3 on this list of why you want to fuse her. So number 3 of why you're going to want to fuse Mother Cybele. She has one of the most unique kits in this game. That passive ability especially is really, really unique. The fact that you get so much turn meter boost for all your allies whenever this champion's revived lends itself to some unique builds. And this is the thing. I'm not saying she's ever going to be a meta champion, but there are going to be some meta builds involving her, I'm pretty sure, especially in Arena. Now, maybe some of you aren't interested in Arena, especially maybe not even the top end of Arena. Platinum is only 300 people after all. But if that has any kind of appeal to you, you're definitely going to want to get Mother Cybele because there's some unique usage with her. Now, maybe you don't ever level her up. Maybe she stays a level 1 champion for you. You let her die right away and revive right away with, say, a Godseeker Iniri, for example, and give your entire team that turn meter boost. Paired really well with like a, let's see, what would be her name? Molly Tankard, for example. I feel like there's a few different ways to go about using Mother Cybele for your team that can be really beneficial. So these are some things that we want to think about. And we've only had this champion for, well, actually, we don't even have this champion yet. A few of us have been able to test her on the test server to get some examples of what she can do. But it's not like we've been able to go through all the meta or spend all of our time focused on her. So things will come out involving her. This is something to keep in mind. She is not good now, but a lot of that has to do with we haven't figured out how to make her good yet. And so keeping that in mind, that becomes another option as a reason why you want to fuse this champion. And those are the 3 reasons I have. Maybe they're not great, but they're good reasons. But the reasons. So look, here's the thing with Mother Cybele. She's obviously not a great champion in this game. There's clearly issues with her kit. She's very situational. A lot of it doesn't work super well. One suggestion I've heard said a couple times is if she could just start off with a revive on death, it would make her way, way better, and give a lot more options as far as how to use her. But the thing is that this is her initial start. We don't know if she's going to get buffed in the future or changed in the future. If she doesn't get used anywhere, there's a strong chance that will be the case. And we haven't had enough time to really fully play around with her in the meta that we have currently. And it takes some of that playing. We have to really spend some time to really understand how best to use a champion. And until she's available to the entire public, so all the big brains get a chance to utilize her, we're never really going to know all that stuff. So keeping those things in mind, I think there is a lot more potential to her kit than we're giving her credit for. Now, all that said, I definitely agree with the majority of the opinion out there that she is not a good fusion. And in fact, the epics are not good epics either. They're okay, but there's nothing here where I'm like, ooh, this is a champion I want to get into. There are some unique mechanics. There are some unique abilities in here that do intrigue me in the sense of like, I want to be able to use them, but I haven't been able to figure them out. And a lot of the other content creators haven't been able to figure them out. It's not to say that they can't be. And my guess is eventually someone is going to figure out how to use some of these champions because that's usually what happens. There's very few like really trash champions that have no use in this game. It just takes some time to figure out the best ways to do that. So keeping that in mind, I definitely still encourage you guys to go ahead and do the fusion. I mean, if you're we play the game, right? You're going to play the game anyway. The fusions give us some focus of how to play the game. But if it's going to cost you all your resources, if it is going to really stress you out to be able to complete it, I understand this is definitely one I would skip, right? In that scenario, I totally get not doing this fusion because the immediate rewards will not justify the immediate expenditures. That's just facts. But if you're someone like me, if you're someone that's going to be doing this stuff anyway, it doesn't cost you a whole lot out of your resources to do it anyhow, I see no reason not to get Mother Cybele. Like, I'll definitely be getting her. I'll be trying to get all the epics as well. I'd like to collect them all. That's just the way I play this game. And if you're similar, I don't think that's going to be a bad thing. She's probably going to stay in my vault. I probably won't level her up for any, immediate chance. I don't see any current place to use her in the meta, but I do see there being a potential way to use her in a few different things, specifically Arena. I feel like there's some revive implications there and heal implications that could be really good in like a Go Second team or an anti-hegemon team. That could be pretty interesting. But I haven't figured those out. I'll let the other big brains for the Arena figure that out for me, and then I will, try implementing that for my own team. But, keep that in mind. I don't think that we want to immediately say don't get this champion. There are going to be uses for her somewhere, somehow. And I generally always say if you can get the legendary champion, get the legendary champion. I think that's reasonable. but we have these fusions every like other week, it seems like, or at least every month. So I understand if maybe you're a little low on resources, you're a little burnt out on it, you don't want to spend the time to do all of these things. I totally get that. And in that case, I say, hey, this is one you can sit out and you're going to be in good shape. You're not going to miss it. But I figured I'd come at it from a different angle and think of the reasons why you want to do this. And so if any of those appeal to you, maybe you'll be doing this fusion. Let me know down below. Do you guys plan on doing this fusion or not? I'm actually pretty curious. I definitely will, but it's not going to be something I'm going to be, wailing out to get. But I end up doing all of them anyway, just to collect the champions. And unfortunately, this is one of the few ones where there aren't any epics where I'm like, ooh, get that epic if you're not going to get the legendary. I actually haven't seen any of those in this. So if you are going to skip it, I think completely skipping it might not be the worst thing in the world. But I'll be doing some reviews on all those little epic champions and see how good they are and if they're worth getting whatsoever for you guys. So anyway, hopefully this was helpful for you. Hit that like, subscribe, notification bell. And until next we meet, I'm the Deadwood Jedi.